We all struggle at times with some degree of difficult emotion in our life. It's certainly been a period of that, I think, recently for all of us, given the current conditions. But meditation can be really helpful to support to working with negative mental states, or just any kind of mental state we're finding a bit tricky. That could be anything from boredom, frustration, a bit of anxiety, fear, grief, all sorts of kind of emotions in there that we might decide to label as a bit difficult for us, emotions we'd rather not be experiencing. And the meditation practices that we teach here, the mindfulness of breathing and the metta practice, both really helpful for working with these mental states. But over the next few weeks, we're going to be focusing on the metta practice. So it's a practice to develop loving kindness towards ourselves, other people, and our kind of experience more generally, life more generally. We're going to be sort of looking at some of the kind of core, kind of foundational principles of that practice over these 4 weeks. So a very warm welcome to you if you're joining us on the live stream. So my name is Charlotte and I'm one of the team here at the Brixton Buddhist Centre for the Monday night meditation. And I'm joined in real life, outside the funny little rectangle boxes we all seem to exist in at the moment, by Jack, who's on tech. And then we've also got Stephanie Amaladana, who's going to be leading next week's session, Emma and Leah as well. Yes, we're over in EFRA space, socially distancing on, with all of our masks on and various things. I've got a particularly nice yellow mask on today. I'm enjoying this one. So do go on and use the chat function if you can get access to that, and let us know who's out there in the ether. I've done quite a few of these sort of hybrid sessions now, and I think they're just going to feel slightly odd that every time I do them. But anyway, it'd be really nice to see who's out there, and just go on and say hello. Looks like we've got about 12 people on there so far, and we've already got Chris and Harriet who are online with us. Say hello to you guys. And if you have any issues, or if for whatever reason live stream seems to be glitching or anything like that, I'll check this occasionally. So if you could just let us know if there seem to be any problems, we'll deal with them as best we can. Great, yeah. So we're going to be looking at the metta practice over these 4 weeks, and broadly we're going to split out the weeks into kind of 2 halves. So the first 2 weeks we're going to be looking at the more kind of receptive side of this practice, and then in the second 2 weeks we'll be looking at the more kind of active side of it, and then you'll kind of see how those elements support each other. And tonight we're going to be focusing on receptivity. Receptivity to what's going on just in our bodies, in our kind of minds, just getting a sense of, well, what's actually going on here before we try and start developing loving kindness, before we start sort of more consciously, maybe more actively working with maybe negative mental states that might come up when we do that. And we're just really kind of strengthening our capacity just to be here with ourselves and with our experience. It's sort of like training a particular kind of muscle of the mind, I guess, to come into our bodies, come into our hearts, come into our minds. So first of all, just to get us kind of settled, but also to start working with that, I'm going to lead us in a body awareness practice for probably about 15 minutes, just to help us arrive. It's a bit wet and a bit grey, and it feels like autumn's coming, and I feel quite sleepy. So hopefully we're not all just going to nod off. If we do, that's fine. I'll ring a bell at the end if that's where your energy takes you and end up being a bit sleepy. But wherever you are, just get as comfortable as you can. Either sat on a chair, you might be led down. I said to the guys here, I said if it was a normal class, I'd probably have us all led down under blankets and just do a really long body scan and see if we fall asleep or not. So just setting up our posture so it's as stable and as comfortable as possible. So making sure we've got 2 points of contact with, 3 points of contact with the ground. So it might be our feet, or our legs, on the mat. And the buttocks, the sitting bones dropping down into the cushion or the ground. Just going to work with a metaphor in this practice of listening. So we're going to broaden out into all of our senses, including the hearing, the listening faculty. I'm just going to invite us to see what happens when we bring that idea of listening, when we come into our felt experience of the body as well, finding out how we're doing emotionally, and just see what happens for you with that idea of listening to ourselves, listening to the body. Just to begin with, then. Just get a sense of the weight of our body dropping down into the ground, into the cushion. The solidity of the body meeting the solidity of the ground or the chair. To help settle, you might want to take a few deeper breaths in and out. I like to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just noticing what the breath wants to do, and it's taking up its own natural rhythm now. Is it deep or shallow, short or long, smooth or rough? Just seeing if there's any particular points of tension in the body that we can notice quite easily. I often hold tension in my face. Just seeing what that tension wants to do when we bring kindly awareness to it. Perhaps it tightens up more, maybe nothing happens, or possibly it will relax of its own accord, even if it's just a little bit. Just start tuning into the other senses now. So just notice what it feels like to listen. What sounds can you hear around you in the room? And are there layers of sounds coming in from different directions? Can you hear any sounds behind you, to the side, in front and above? And can you hear any sounds of your body? Perhaps your breath, maybe the sounds of any clothes moving as the body expands and relaxes with the breath. See if you can relax into a sense of a whole three-dimensional landscape of sound flowing through your awareness. Not having to force yourself to concentrate on any particular sounds, just sort of opening and relaxing. And coming into the sense of sight, so even with your eyes closed, there's all these sort of funny light impressions coming in through my eyes in different colours. Again, just allowing yourself to just experience whatever's there. Not having to screw our face up or anything, to notice what's coming in through our eyes. Any smells coming in through the nose. Notice how the sense of smell changes as you breathe in and out. Now the sense of taste. It can be a funny one when you're sat meditating, but sometimes just wiggling your tongue around in your mouth. Can't quite describe how to. Anyway, you can you can work that one out. See if you can taste anything in your mouth now. The sense of taste. There's all sorts of types of taste, aren't there? Let's just go back into listening before we move into our felt sense of ourselves. And see if we can take the same kind of effort of attention, of openness, receptivity that we have when we're just listening. Into our sense of awareness of our felt body, sense of touch. Just seeing now what's most present terms of what you can feel in the body. So might be the body in contact with the ground, perhaps your hands, what can you feel in the body? Noticing if there's any points of pleasure in the body. It might be warmth or energy somewhere in the body that feels pleasant. Just exploring that area of pleasure for a few more moments. You might not even have thought to have labelled it as pleasure, but just a part of the body that just feels okay right now. And again, as we did at the start of the meditation, noticing if there's any particular point of discomfort in the body that's drawing your attention right now. To see if you can explore using that metaphor of listening to that area of discomfort. So instead of trying to push it away or fix it, just see if we can get curious as to what it actually feels like. I'm finally going to spend a few minutes just around the belly and then the heart area. So you can leave your hands where they are if you like. Sometimes it can be quite nice to put one hand on the belly and one hand on the chest around the heart, just to help draw our awareness to this part of the body. You'll probably know from your own experience that these are kind of core emotional centers for the body. Anyone who struggles with anything like IBS or anything like that, like I do, will know that the belly, the tummy will hold a lot of difficult emotions. So we've got this link between our mental state and these areas. So let's just try listening to the belly. What can you feel there right now? What can you feel around the heart, around the chest? This includes the back of the chest as well, it's around your spine. Just expanding your awareness just to take in as much of your experience as possible. So we're listening to the whole of the body, including whatever might be going on in the mind right now as well. So in Buddhism, the mind is another sense. Now just dropping any sense of having to do anything at all, and we'll just hit here for about another minute, just doing nothing. Okay, coming out of that meditation when you're ready. And just go to the chat function now and see who we've got joining us this evening. Okay, so we've got Chris and Harriet, hello, and Anna and Joe, Rosie and Tony all the way over in New Zealand, Gurdeep in Port Talbot, and Jill has also managed to join us from Gypsy Hill. So yeah, welcome to you guys and everyone else who's online at the moment. So there's about 19 of us at the moment. Not 19 of you guys plus us, so yeah, do drop your name there if you want to say hello and let us know where you're coming in from this evening. So yeah, this evening I don't want to give a huge amount of input really on receptivity, but if you do have any particular kind of questions as we go along, do just just drop them as they come up into the chat function. We'll have about 10 minutes at the end to go over any questions if you've got some. So for anyone who's new to the Metta practice, how we teach it and how we'll be doing it through these 4 weeks is in its traditional 5 stages. So we're bringing to mind different people in each stage. And in the first stage, we bring to mind ourselves. In the second stage, a friend. The third stage, someone we know of, but neither sort of like them nor dislike them. So often it might be someone we might know at work, but have not sort of ever really interacted with them, or someone at the local shop, something like that. In the fourth stage, we bring to mind someone that we're finding a bit difficult. So you might find they're a good one to test out how the practice works for helping you overcome difficult emotion with this person. So traditionally it's often called the enemy stage actually, but particularly when you're learning this practice, it's just good to just choose someone that you've had just some kind of bump up against, some kind of difficulty with, so you don't sort of get derailed and caught up too much in the stories about them. Yeah, and then in the fifth stage, we're bringing to mind all those. I keep forgetting that you guys are here, and I need to not just talk to the camera. So in the fifth stage, we're bringing to mind all these people, and then increasingly more and more people around us. So friends, family, anyone we work with, people in the neighbourhood, and kind of expanding out all the way until we've covered the whole world. And all living beings through space and time, including non-human life. So it's got quite a big, vision to it. And in these stages, when we're kind of doing the practice, the kind of active side of it as well, we're kind of developing this intention of kind of well-wishing to all of those living beings as they come up in the different stages. Yeah, these next couple of weeks we'll just kind of focus on the kind of more receptive side without having to kind of have a sense of doing anything and making ourselves kind of have any. We're not sort of trying to have any particular response in the Metta Bhavana, actually. We're just kind of noticing, well, what happens when we do bring to mind this person or these people or these giraffes or ants or whoever pops up in the fifth stage. And yeah, we're just noticing, well, what is my actual response to them? And then we're making a choice to develop an intention. So it's not about having a particular kind of feeling or emotional response to them. It's much more of a kind of practice of cultivating an intention when we get to that kind of more active stage. Yeah, what we're just going to do this week is we're just going to do all those 5 stages, but we're not going to try and do anything. We're just going to see what happens when we bring to mind the people in different stages, and just explore then what happens in the body, what happens in our body, what happens in our minds when we bring these, kind of bring these people to life in our imagination, and just be really honest about what happens there. And sometimes it feels like nothing happens at all. So I've been moving a bit quite lately, and often when I'm just doing the practice, it's just like, well, actually I'm just like distracted basically the whole time. I keep trying to bring to mind someone, and I'm just going off into like, oh, I've done this thing or that thing, whatever. So this week we're just being really honest, what happens in our mind, in our body when we bring these other people in. And that for all the stages, we're just kind of dropping any idea that that doing the Metta Bhavana, cultivating loving kindness, is having a particular experience. There's no kind of shoulds or just dropping all expectations about what might happen, and just see what's there in the body. Yeah, I think this is really important because I think Amala Dana will get onto this much more sort of next week, but it's just so easy to get into kind of expectations about what should happen. Like there's just so many shoulds, and that just creates this massive barrier to actually working with what's actually there. Because if you're not actually present with what's going on, you basically disconnected, and you haven't really got the kind of raw materials to work with in meditation, because you're sort of cut off in some way from what you're actually experiencing. So this is just like fundamental to all meditation practices actually, is just really starting with where you actually are, dropping ideas about I should be feeling happy, or bringing my friend to mind and therefore I should have some kind of like warm fuzzy experience or whatever. Even actually, in the 4th stage, you can often have ideas of like, I'm bringing to mind the difficult person, and actually bring them to mind, and sometimes, it might be fine, actually, I don't know, something might have shifted and your whole story about them isn't there anymore. So, we're just kind of like really slowing, by doing this kind of receptive, emphasis, we're kind of really slowing things down. It's very easy to very quickly get into trying to make something happen, I think, with the Metta Bhavana. I feel like it's a lot like learning to drive a car, actually, this practice. Like, if you just slow all the stages down and just like spend a bit more time on each of them, then when you put it all together, it kind of flows. It can flow a bit. It can flow a bit better. So that's what we're going to do. Is we're just going to do just the 5 stages. Bring to mind a different person in each of the stages, and just see what happens. So again, for people who are new to the practice, just a bit of a reminder, in the 1st stage it's ourselves, then it's a friend, so maybe as we're going through, choose in your mind who you want to put in those stages now. Then someone that you don't know particularly well, neither like nor dislike. In the 4th stage, someone you're having a bit of a sort of difficult, I think you've been having a kind of difficult interaction with recently. So someone there's something like, there's something a bit live there, but it's not going to kind of derail you into a kind of big kind of story fest about what's going on and kind of intense sort of negative emotion about them. And then we'll get to the 5th stage, and I'll lead us through that. Great. I'm just checking who else has joined us. We've got Manjinder here as well. Hello, Manjinder, and Peter as well from Forest Hill. So thanks for joining us this evening. Great. So we'll meditate for about 20 minutes again. So just get comfortable. You might decide that you wanted to change your posture. Maybe if you're a bit sleepy, it might be helpful now to make sure that you're sat up a bit more upright, particularly when you're doing something a bit more receptive. I think energetically the tendency is just to kind of doze off. So being upright can be helpful with that. Okay, maybe let's just start off with listening to some sounds around us. Hear a crow outside, a plane, whatever's going on in the soundscape around you. Just noticing the quality of your mind that you need in order to be able to listen. Just a sense of openness and interest in what's going on. And we can bring that sense of curiosity, receptivity when we move inwards. So what can we feel in the body? Just grounding through noticing contact of our body with the chair or the floor. And again, listening to the belly, listening to the heart. So the Metabhavana meditation practice. In this first stage, we're just being with ourselves. Just being curious about what's going on in our experience right now. If there are any particular sensations that become a bit more conscious, a bit more clear in your awareness, just noticing whether or not you would label that sensation as pleasant, painful, or neutral. If you're finding that your mind is quite distracted, you could just choose either the belly or the heart area to just rest your awareness on. So just keep listening to the body. Keep noticing what you can actually feel. If you notice your mind going off in stories, just seeing what the effect is of following those stories on the body. So perhaps you tighten up a bit in the belly or the forehead. In the second stage, I bring to mind a friend and just notice how you do that. How does that work for you? So you might be quite visual and have a memory of being with them, or you might even just be able to imagine them sat next to you or in front of you as you're meditating. You might want to say their name in your head a few times, literally calling them to mind then. Just try without introducing much tension into the body, just really putting in some effort into bringing them to life in your imagination. What does it feel like to be around them? When you've got a sense of them being present, just going to move back into our own bodies. What does it feel like? What's your response to that friend? In the heart area, in the belly area. Again, you might want to go back to just bringing them to mind a bit more fully if they faded, or if you've wandered off. Again, maybe say their name to yourself a few times. And again, coming back, noticing what happens, what's your response to them. Where is that in the body? Is it pleasant, unpleasant, or just neutral? Now just allowing the friend to fade in your imagination. We'll come back to them in a bit. Now bring to mind the person that we don't know so well. So moving into the third stage. The tendency here is really for the mind to just keep sliding off of them. So just let's just put a bit of effort into bringing them to life a little bit more. It might help to think of them in the context that you normally see them in. What does it feel like being in that space? Maybe engaging some of the other senses. Do we know what their voice sounds like, or what the sounds are in the room that we'd normally see them in, what the atmosphere is like there? Just checking when we're bringing them to mind, that we're not introducing too much tension, particularly around the face. I often find my face scrunching up when I'm doing this stage a little bit. Again, just see what happens when we bring them into our meditation. Do our minds just want to wander off to something else? Is there more tension in the body? Again, coming to the heart and the belly, what's going on there? If you find yourself that you've wandered off, it's very normal in this stage. Again, let's just put a bit of effort into bringing the person to mind again. It's very difficult to have any kind of response to someone if they're just kind of not present. So just building them up again in our imagination. Without getting into stories, you might want to sort of recognise they've probably got their whole sort of own life going on in the background. They definitely do. They'll have family and friends themselves. We're probably a neutral person to them as well. Again, just see what our response is in the body. And just allowing ourselves to feel nothing at all if that's what's going on right now. Again, letting them fade into the background, and then bringing to mind the person that we've been having some difficulty with. So our tendency here is often to bring to mind the situation, the specific situation that we might have been finding challenging, if there is a particular one. To see if we can bring that person to mind a bit more in their wholeness. Noticing how you're doing that, if it's a kind of visual sense of them near you, how close are they to you? it's a memory of them, just noticing what's the memory of them we're bringing up. Noticing what happens in the body. So sometimes what we notice first is that we've just gone into a story about this person. Might just see if we can get underneath that story and notice where maybe some tension has come into the body that might not have been there before. And exploring the body to see what's going on. Again, focusing on the heart and the belly. And just keep listening to the heart and the belly. Again, just coming back to the person in the stage. Noticing perhaps where our mind has gone off to, where the body's gone. See if we can re-engage with bringing that person to mind a little bit again, a bit more in their fullness. Again, noticing what's going on in the body in response. So now we're going to bring to mind everyone in these 4 stages. So ourselves, a friend, a person we don't know very well, and a person we're finding a bit difficult at the moment. And just explore what works for you in doing that, in bringing everyone into your imagination at the same time. Again, if you're a bit more visual, you might even imagine them in a circle near you. But not everyone is. You might need to say their names to yourself. Just playing around with what works for this part of the practice. Again, noticing what happens in the body. Particularly noticing if we're feeling a little bit sidetracked with this whole kind of imagination thing, and if we're getting a bit caught up in the detail of what someone looks like or how that everything's kind of fitting together in your mind. Noticing if that's happened. then we're just going to start bringing to mind more and more people. Got a sense of everyone who's meditating with us this evening. So that includes Jack, Stephanie, Amaladana, Emma and Leah in the room with me. To all of you guys out there on tuning into the channel. Then we'll expand outwards from there, but try not to do this in too abstract a way, otherwise it can just get a bit vague. So maybe just start with bring to mind maybe your family, your friends. Colleagues at work. Our neighbours. People we might have passed in the street today or seen in shops. Expanding out across where we live as we go, including human and non-human life as well. Just taking a moment just to see where you've gone in that. What's happening in the body right now. You might have just got caught up in your head a bit. What's going on in the heart and the belly. Again, re-engaging to expanding our awareness out to more and more life. Sometimes I find it helpful just to imagine myself just sitting here, just to sort of aware of all of life expanding out around me. Again, noticing what's happening in your body. I can feel a bit of tension coming around my forehead and some tightness in the tummy. Letting go of a sense of, trying to do anything with bringing to mind different people or any sense of trying to be more aware of yourself. And we'll just take a moment or so just to notice, we'll just do nothing really. In a moment, I'm just going to ring the bell and we'll draw that practice to a close. Meditated for a little bit longer than I thought we would, so we'll run over about a few minutes. It'd be really good to get your sense of what happened in that meditation for you. If you've got any particular kind of questions in this area, just kind of like really trying to stay with our experience, what's actually happening in our bodies before we try to sort of do anything else in that practice. If you're on YouTube at the moment, drop them into the chat and I'll try and pick them up. There might be some questions or comments from the team. But before then, I will just do a couple of announcements. so this is part of a 4-week Monday night series. We also have the next thing that's on this week, apart from the Zoom after this call, will be an event on Wednesday evening, which will be a Buddhist ritual, a puja, for the kind of founder of the True Ratna Buddhist movement that the centre is a part of, Sangha. So that will be live streamed from Everspace as well, so you can tune in through the YouTube channel for that. I think that's going to be the start, the sort of kick-off actually quite soon of a new Wednesday night series as well, so more details of that will come. Yes, that's the things that are coming up. And as many of you who tune in will know, every week we're making kind of a call for help from you to keep our program running, so we can hire the space and get all the tech we need, and hire the few people that we've got part-time to run all the different events that we do. So we have our much loved Dana Omita popping up right here. There we go. I said to the team I might become a hand model after all this is over and done with, all the times I do this now. Yes, thank you so much to everyone who's supported to us this month. I can't quite remember the exact figures, but it looks like, from what I remember, we're way over our target, over £2,000 for this month, which is brilliant. It's been a bit of a funny time, as you can imagine, with knowing how things are going to keep going with finances in the future. So yeah, thank you so much for all your help in keeping us going for August. Oh yes, I can see it on my thing. We've raised £3,200, which is amazing. Thank you so much. Yes, there's a downloadometer, and I'm trying to think if there's any other announcements. Zoom, yes. So after this session, we will have a hosted Zoom discussion at 8:45. There's definitely going to be Vicky and Tony on that this evening, so do go and join them. And yeah, you can just have a chat, to just have a chance to sort of talk and have a chat about anything that's come up for you in this meditation practice. The other thing is, I just really encourage you to maybe take up doing this practice a few times a week. In your own time. There's definitely a guided meditation that I've done online on the YouTube channel. We'll maybe this week we'll try and make sure that that's a bit more obvious where you can find that. It's really helpful just to explore some of the themes that we're bringing up a bit more, to kind of see where we're going with it. They're very much a practice. So yeah, just going over to the chat now to see if there's any questions from you guys on coming in from YouTube. There isn't, but I was just wondering if there's anything from you guys, any comments? How is that for you? Getting used to doing this with masks on as well, so it's a kind of like...
So if you experience like a very strong emotion, a very strong negative emotion at some stage of the metta partner, you say kind of just, because I kind of got to that place, and then the next stage came, and I kind of just stayed with the emotion for the rest of I kind of just ignored the stages then, because it was such a strong thing. I thought, oh, it's probably worth staying with it. What do you think about kind of going off piste like that?
Yeah, I think this gets brought up actually. I think we'll need to explore it sort of over the next few weeks, particularly given the title of the series. I think one of the first things to just say is people's kind of like range of like strong, difficult emotion can like really vary, and your kind of capacity to like work with it in meditation also changes. So I've definitely had periods of my life where like I've had very, very strong negative emotion, and it wasn't actually helpful to keep meditating. Like I paused meditating for a while actually. That was advice from friends and meditation teachers. There's other times where I've experienced like really strong negative emotion, like really intense grief, but I've been kind of like I've just felt I've got the kind of like resources and conditions around me that I could kind of work with it and not got too derailed. So I think that's probably a good caveat to know, and it's sort of part of it is to see what the effect is, and if part of the effect is you come out of the meditation and you just feel like really awful the rest of the day, then maybe it might be good to adjust it. It's partly sort of depends on what's coming up. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't say as a rule to just sit with it, because I think sometimes actually, yeah, it starts then having a cumulative kind of more negative effect, I guess. Noticing whether or not you're sort of going into like the stories about what's happening, or getting one thing I can sometimes do is start because I've had a history at different times in my life of having sort of periods of panic attacks and yeah, sort of being quite unwell from work and stress and things like that too. So I think I just had a point. When you just got a point and you know where you're going with it, and then you give a bit of other information you've forgotten. What was that point? Oh no, it's totally gone. I'll see if I can remember it. No.
Is it panic attacks? Like.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what's the thing called? No, it's just totally gone. Yeah, so main things would be, so just, I guess my first point was like just, getting a sense of where it is on your radar, and get in touch. Like, that's the other thing. So if anyone's ever got anything coming up in meditation, they're like, this feels a bit much, like do get in touch with the team, and we can either have a chat with you about it, or kind of helpful. Do you want to kind of like other resources that might be helpful? So I think that's really important to know, and reach out for help if you feel like you need it. And also meditation, don't think it can do everything for everyone. So if it's like a repeat thing, sometimes you sort of need other support. Yes, that was it. Stories, unhooking from the stories. So noticing if you've got caught up in the stories about the thing, or if you've got you're starting to get worried. So I often sort of talk to people who are getting a bit worried about, I'm starting to have this feeling. So notice if you've got a story about what's happening or something in the body that you might be a bit surprised about. And again, seeing if you can just get into the sensations of it. Sometimes it can be helpful to go off piste and just stay with that sensation that's coming up. And it can also be good to just kind of re-engage with all the stages, to make sure that you're kind of just checking in to make sure that it's not kind of like taking over or something, to know that you can come out of it and then go into the next stage. So I think that's quite helpful. I find it's just building up the confidence to kind of like lean into something, and knowing you've also got the ability to like lean out and let go and move on to the other thing as well. There's a few pointers on those. Sounds you've got quite good intuition about your meditation practice actually, Jack. So and do just notice what the effects are of particularly certain relationships that might be coming up. And sometimes you need to get into you might need to get into communication with people about what's going on for you. That might help to move things on as well. Grand. Maybe if there's anything else from you guys, we might leave it there. As I said, the next thing is the Zoom discussion for anyone who's on YouTube at the moment at 8:45. So I think the link for that should be below in the comments section or on the website as well. Hope you found that helpful. Amla Dana will be in the hot seat next week. I might be here, I'm not quite sure if I'm here next week anyway, but we'll be joined by Amla Dana next week talking about developing a helpful attitude for the practice. So looking a little bit more about the kind of like mindset and attitude that we bring into the practice and how that will affect it. Good. I hope you stay warm and dry and safe for the rest of the evening. I'm hoping we all manage to get back without getting absolutely drenched, but we'll see. I did bring an umbrella, which was a bit unfortunate. Good. Well, take care, and we'll catch you next week.